Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's Planalytics Agriculture Podcast. I'm Jeff Doran, Senior Business Meteorologist, and I'll provide color on last week's weather and the outlook for the next 2 weeks and its impact on agriculture. Well, last week, it was certainly a week of regional extremes. It was the coolest early July period in the U.S. in at least 10 years, and the driest since 2004. Temperatures were below normal and against last year in most of the lower 48. The week began with a stalled front across the southeast, producing persistent heavy rains. Most locations along the Gulf received several inches of rain, ensuring that the soil moisture levels remained adequate across the large area, and that did include Florida. After a reprieve to begin the week, Texas and the western high plains began to heat up again. Daily highs were in the low to mid 100s. High temperature records were set in places like Amarillo, Austin, Brownsville, and Wichita Falls. This persistent heat combined with the drought, and that is severe drought, is taking a significant toll on all manner of agriculture, and extra precautions were certainly necessary for those tending livestock. The contrast was quite stark further north and east. Reinforcing surges of cooler Canadian air were the rule across most of the northern U.S. from the Central Plains to the Mid-Atlantic states, and then points northward into Canada. Temperatures were about 5 to 8 degrees below normal and also against the same time last year. This kept crop growth continuing to run behind schedule. Frequent severe weather events were the rule across much of the northern plains. Tornadoes were recorded in Montana, the Dakotas, and northward into the prairies. We also had severe weather earlier in the week in the northeast and New England with dozens of hail and high wind reports. The Mid-Atlantic region had a fine, very dry week. After a hot start to the week in the Pac Northwest and the Northern Rockies that saw readings go into the 90s, a much cooler air mass overspread the region. Now further south, down in California, they had a pleasant week, 90s and 100s in the interior valleys, pleasant 70s and 80s along the coast. But those dry conditions and the significant drought kept pressure on all water resources. Heading into this week, the pattern supporting the strong regional variations will continue. The dome of summer high pressure will remain intense and focused in the high plains and the southern Rockies. We're looking at hot temperatures in the 90s and 100s. Heat indexes could be approaching 110. Crops and livestock will certainly remain under significant pressure. This heat will spread to the west coast. We could see some California cities into the 80s, even flirting with some 90-degree readings, and those interior valleys will really be heating up well into the hundreds and continued lack of rain. Further north in the Pac Northwest, we're looking for occasional disturbances, but the heaviest rains will actually fall in Canada. Temperatures will trend on the warmer side and aiding the orchard farmers there. The stormy weather, however, is going to remain locked in place across much of the northern plains, across the Midwest and into the Atlantic, and also into parts of the southeast, where we could see periods of heavy rain and the potential for severe weather. Temperatures will continue to average cooler than last year, and below normal in all of eastern Canada, the Midwest, the Northeast, all of those primary corn belts, keeping the growing degree day levels running generally lower. The Southeast will start the week on the warm and muggy side, but trend cooler as the week progresses. We're just not going to get away from those periods of wet weather throughout the week, particularly in Florida. Well, we've certainly all heard the old adage, a broken record, and that's certainly going to describe the weather as we head into the out week. Again, no significant change to the pattern. A very active jet stream will continue to bring periods of wet weather into the northern central plains, the Midwest, into the mid-Atlantic, and also into the Northeast. Warmer trend is likely against the prior week, but temperatures will remain slightly below normal in these areas. The heat will remain. There's just not going to be much respite from the intense heat across the southern interior U.S. Again, the core of the heat will remain in Texas and the high plains. We will get some northward movement into the prairies. Temperatures could regularly approach or exceed 100 degrees, and heat indexes could be on the order of 110 plus. And the dry weather will continue to exacerbate those extreme conditions and keep pressure on farmers and ranchers alike. Florida and the southeast will remain warm and muggy and will continue to be at risk for above normal rainfall. That will wrap up this week's report. If you have questions, please contact me at 610-407-2914 or your Planalytics representative. Thanks and have a great day.